Alright everybody, welcome back. My name is Nick, here with O3 Drop. Thanks for tuning in today. So before I get into the regionals information, I just wanted to kind of show you guys, this is my MonkeyKu deck that I had made the profile video before. I know a couple people were asking for, updates on the list. So just so you guys know, at this point, I've added in a couple Flying Nimbus. I took out the King Colds for these. I also added in the Yajirobe, which I took out the Gotens for these. Now, the reason that I personally did this is because I was starting to see a lot of monkey decks at my locals. Now, if your locals is still filled with veggies mainly, the Goten is something that you probably want to keep in there. And also, the Mass Saiyan is not a bad way to go either, because you can get rid of, a Kaba and a Khalifa, or two Khalifas, or two Kabas with it. Especially if they're running the one-drop Trunks in their deck as well. You can get rid of the Trunks plus two of those, or a Kale and a Trunks, just stuff like that. The other thing is, he is also a Saiyan. He does count as a Saiyan, so he does let you combo with him for free if you need to. So just keep that in mind. You can't search for him with Planet Vegeta because it does have to be a 4-drop or less. But that's kind of where I'm at now with the list, so if you were curious about it, there you go. Having said that, the thing I want to talk about today is preparing for regionals, because I know with San Jose coming up, a lot of people are going to be going to the regionals for the first time ever. And so I kind of wanted to give you guys some ideas of things to think about, to keep in mind as you prepare for these regionals. So let's kind of go over this. I have a list here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you pick and test your deck ahead of time. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't change out a couple of cards the night before or even the morning of the event. That's always okay. If you think of something last minute and you're like, wow, this might help me today, make that change. That's okay. But the main thing is, I've literally seen players driving to a regionals make a deck in the back seat of a car and then win one game with it the entire day. Just don't let that be you. You don't want that to be. You want to pick a deck that you're comfortable with, even if it's not the best deck. Like, for example, Pan. Pan's a good deck, but it's nowhere near considered the best deck right now. Having said that, if you're just really good with Pan, stick with Pan, because you're going to perform better on that than you would with, something you're not as familiar with. The next thing is get plenty of sleep. A lot of players will stay up tinkering with their decks or even deck testing. In my opinion, you should have already done the testing before that Friday night. If you're doing last minute Friday night testing, that's okay. But if you feel so unconfident with your deck that you have to test until 2 or 3 in the morning, you're probably not going to perform well the next day anyway. So do your best to try to get sleep. I know, especially me, I love competition, so I get really excited the night before and it's hard for me to sleep. If you have to take some Tylenol PM or something, do it. Just whatever helps you get to sleep, you want to make sure you get some sleep the night before. Now, these next two kind of go hand in hand together. You do want to eat in the morning. So before the event starts, you want to have at least a decent sized meal. A lot of hotels will have a free breakfast. Now, also, if you're really not into breakfast food, because I'm not. Like, I hate cereal. Bacon is okay, but, there's not a ton of, early morning breakfast food that's filling that I really like. So, order pizza the night before, and if your hotel room has a fridge and a microwave, throw the pizza in the fridge and, heat it up in the microwave the day after. So, either way, just make sure that you have something to eat that morning. Now, you also want to bring snacks, because some venues will have snack vendors, but they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it. I know, just a derpy little chicken meal with 3 pieces of chicken and a few fries is $8 or $9 in a lot of places. So what you want to do is you want to bring small snacks, just stuff that you can fit in your pocket or fit in the backpack, something like that. Honestly, my best 2 recommendations would be some kind of peanuts, just a little packet of salted peanuts. Maybe you get a couple of those and just snack on those throughout the day. The other thing would be the Gatorade Fruit Chews. I really like the red ones. They taste really good, and they're supposed to have B vitamins and stuff to help you. So that's kind of what I'd recommend. Also, drink water throughout the day. I know, they have soda and stuff usually at the venues, and even Gatorade or Powerade. Make sure you mix in at least 1 bottle of water, because throughout the day you may end up cramping, because it is a really long day. So try to mix in at least 1 bottle of water throughout the day. If not, I mean, you can just drink water the entire day if that's you. But if you're someone who typically doesn't drink a lot of water, try to mix some in that day. Now, you're going to want to expect to be playing for 10 to 12 hours straight, assuming you don't drop out early. You want to find ways to keep your mind from burning out. Because what tends to happen with a lot of players who aren't used to playing that long, you're going to end up getting to a certain point to where your brain just feels like mush, and you start making stupid plays that you wouldn't normally make. So between rounds, if you have a few extra minutes, like let's say you get done halfway through the round or something, go outside, get some air, go like lay down somewhere or sit down at a table and just kind of relax your brain. Just do anything you can to kind of keep your mind from burning out, because that will cause you to misplay. And if you really need if you're in round 9 with 6 wins and you need that 7th win to get in, you don't want to make a dumb misplay that costs you top 32. Now, another thing is, don't let one game or match loss cause you to tilt. So, every now and then, I'll do something really stupid, like just amazingly stupid, and it'll be so bad that my brain will just kind of be like, fuck you, and like I just won't be able to perform for the rest of that match. A good example is at a tournament a few weeks ago, I was playing against someone using the Black Mirror leader, and I was doing Mecha Frieza Apes, just kind of testing it out. It was right after the set released. The person laid down, or they played the 4-drop Bardock because they were about to go into the 5-drop and board wipe my entire board. For whatever reason, I had like an aneurysm or something, and I cold bloodlusted the 4-drop Bardock instead of waiting for the 5-drop to come out. I have no idea what happened. I just did it. And so what happened is they ended up winning that game, and the next game I got to the point to where I easily could have decked my opponent out. Like I knew I had the deck out. I just had to, play defensively for a turn or two. And I just said, fuck it, I don't care, YOLO. And I just went all in, failed miserably, and lost the entire match because of it. Now, luckily, me personally, in between rounds, I can clear my head and start over fresh the next round. But either way, you don't want to let yourself get tilted. If you make a misplay, forget about it and move on. It happens to the best of us. I mean, even in the Super Release tournament for PPG, Game 1, Peter Katani tried to use his super combo before he had 5 cards in his warp. What happened? He just conceded the game. They went to Game 2. He ended up winning Game 2 and 3. He didn't let it affect him. He kept playing, his normal game, and he won. Another big piece of advice I have is to fill out your deck list ahead of time. Now, if you're going to the regionals, it has to be on an official ARG deck list sheet, so just know that. However, you can still fill it out ahead of time with this right here. I will leave a link to this in the description, so that way you have access to this. But you can literally type out your deck list. So like this literally just lets you type your stuff out. Now keep in mind, with the ARG deck list, you do have to put in the set number. So like, for example, we'll do Senzu Bean, right? So like it would be 4... and then BT1 dash, I don't know, 028, whatever it is. So like that's how you're gonna want to fill that out. You can do this beforehand. So like if you have this official page, you can do this and print this out beforehand, and then just take this to the event. You can even fill up your name up here. For the event location, just put ARG San Jose. The date, put the date. The player ID, a lot of people, if they have a team that they're on, they'll put that here. Otherwise, you can just leave that blank. The left-hand column is for your main deck. The right-hand's for your side deck. There is a total down here, so that total should be 50. Side deck is probably going to be 15 or less. Your leader, normally what I do is I'll write whatever the name is on the front side of the leader and then put the set number next to it. So some people fill out both sides of the leader or however, but yeah, I just do the front side plus the set name. And again, I will put a link to this in the description so you guys have this. This is a really good tool to use if you are going. Now keep in mind, you can also, so like if you fill this out the night before and you print it out and then you want to make a change, you can just, with a pen, just mark something out and then write it in one of the blank lines underneath. So keep in mind, just because you do this and print it out doesn't mean you're stuck with that list. As long as you make the change before round 1 starts, you can change it. It's okay. So let's go back. So arriving early, this is another big one. If you get there early enough and you already have your list done, everyone else is going to be filling out their deck lists and stuff. Another reason I like to fill my deck list out ahead of time is I don't want people to walk by and see my deck all laid out, especially if I have something that I feel is really spicy in the deck. Just because if someone sees or hears about something that's really spicy in someone's deck, they'll tell their friends, and then their friends will mention it to random people, and then like it'll be going around the event, oh, did you hear about this guy with this in his deck? I don't want to be that guy ever. I know in Orlando, whenever what's his name did really well on Future Trunks, everyone was talking about that in the venue. Oh, do you guys hear about the Future Trunks deck that's doing really well? Like, yeah, so eventually, if you're doing well, it's going to get out, but don't let it get out that early. So, a lot of people don't like energy drinks, and I agree. I think a lot of energy drinks are just bad. Like, I would never drink Monster. I know there's another one I can't think of right now. Like, I would just never drink a lot of them. However, 5-hour energy, in my opinion, is really good. It doesn't have just, it's not just totally packed with sugar and caffeine like a lot of the other ones are. Yes, it does have some caffeine, obviously, but it's not as bad for you as some of the other ones. I actually think it's okay. I would recommend, if this is something you want to do and you've never had a 5-hour energy before, take one sometime during the week so you can actually see what it tastes like and how it makes your body feel beforehand. But I normally have one 5-hour energy, and I normally take it about halfway through the day, and it helps me out a lot. It helps me stay focused. It helps me not be tired. I like it. Now, another thing is, don't be scared off by big names. So, in Charlotte, I think it was round 3 or 4, I played against Peter Katani. I actually beat him. He was a great guy. He was fun to play against. Obviously, I was playing Mecha Frieza, and he was playing Goku Black. So it was a bad matchup for him. But either way, I didn't get scared off by the name. I played him the best I could, and I actually ended up winning. I also played against Danny Hype in like round 2 or 3 of that tournament. I lost to him. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot I could do. He just made some really good plays. I was actually really impressed. He was a great player. And actually, even Peter, like, my deck should have just steamrolled Peter, but he actually put up a really good fight. Honestly, if our decks were evenly matched, he probably would have beat me. Then, even in day 2, I played against the guy who got 3rd in Virginia, and I beat him. Starter Ku is what I was using, because it was the 1K. I was using Starter Ku, he was using Golden Frieza. And then I also played against Eddie, and I should have beat Eddie. I'm still, Eddie, if you ever watch this, I still want a rematch. I should have beat Eddie. He just got really lucky top deck, and my last 2 prizes or life that I took did not help me out at all. So yeah, don't be scared off by big names. Like, if you see that you're matched up against a name that you recognize, just keep in mind, they're using the same cards that you are. Like, they don't get some secret Egyptian god card just because they're part of PPG. Yes, they're all great players, don't get me wrong, but they're using the same cards you are. You can still beat them. Just because they're a big name doesn't mean you can't win. Now, finally, don't be scared to call a judge. This is probably the most important one on this entire list, and this is the best piece of advice that I can give you. In Orlando, I was playing against a Mecha Frieza player, because that was right after Mecha came out. And they played the Clan of Terror Mecha Frieza on me to look at my hand and pick a battle card that goes down on the field in rest mode. And they picked Kale. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I go to remove my 1-drop Broly from the field and then start picking cards on his side to pop. And he was like, wait, it doesn't play, it doesn't play the ability. And it sounded stupid to me. I'm like, hold on, it doesn't say anything about negating the ability, so the ability should go off. And so him and I argued about it, and he told me, oh, well, Judge last round said that it doesn't. And I just took his word for it. And that ended up being one of my 3 losses. I was 6-3. I needed one more win to get in top 32. Guess what? That would have been one of my wins had the correct ruling have came down. Now, it's my fault. I should have called a judge over and double-checked the rule. Just because you ask for a judge's rule doesn't make you a douchebag or anything. Unless you're rule sharking the other person and purposely being a dick, you can ask a judge questions. Like, that's something that's good to do, especially if you're unclear. Do not have one of your biggest regrets: I lost because I didn't clarify a rule. Like, oh, that still frustrates me today that I should have won that match and I likely would have made top 32 if it wasn't for that. And like, it still frustrates me to this day. Don't let that be you. If you're uncertain about a rule, have a judge clarify it. That's what they're there for. Don't be scared to raise your hand and say judge. Please don't. So I hope this helped, especially if you are going to the San Jose Regionals. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. If you are going to the regionals, good luck. I hope you do well. As a matter of fact, you can come back here and comment later on and let me know how you do. Thanks for watching, you guys, and have a good night.